Hey busy people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, I'll be sharing with you this lemon lime pound cake. This pound cake has been in my family for 3 generations and it is one of the absolute best pound cakes that you'll ever have or make. And as always, I'm being a darling and I'm sharing it with you. I love this pound cake because it is super versatile. You can omit the citrus, or you can use either lemon or just lime, whichever route that you choose to go with. It turns out absolutely perfect. This pound cake has a secret ingredient that makes it absolutely moist and tender, and I can't wait to share that with you. Let's get right into it. So you'll be needing some lemon and lime. In Nigeria, you typically find the very small sizes, so that's what we'll be using. Now, as always, gently zest your lemon and lime. My trick to doing this is to start off doing this really softly so that you don't get the white parts into this. So do this as gently as possible. See how gentle I'm able to do this and still get out all the zest without, adding in any of the white parts. Now, once you're done zesting your lemon and lime, you need about 3 lemons or 2 lemons and 8 limes. This is what your lime should look like, and this is what the lemon should look like after zesting. Now, once that's done, scrape the grater or the zester that you used to zest both the lemon and lime, and then set that aside. Heat that thing because you need every single zest that you can get for this recipe. It just makes all the difference. Now, once that's done, into the same bowl, add sugar. The full ingredient list and measurement will be listed in the description box, so check that out before you start baking. Now, the next thing I like to do is to massage the zest and sugar together. The zest contains essential oils that are highly aromatic and flavorful. Mixing the zest with the sugar before baking helps to release the natural oil from the zest. This enhances the lemon flavor and the lime flavor in your baked goods. The friction of rubbing the zest and the sugar infuses the sugar with the aromatic oil, ensuring the flavor is evenly distributed throughout the batter. This method maximizes the citrusy aroma and taste, giving the pound cake an elevated, vibrant, and fresh lemon essence. Now, moving along, the next thing I like to do is to add butter to the bowl. This is the brand of butter that I am using, but feel free to use any butter of your choosing. Now, if you live in Nigeria, you can use Sima's margarine, even though we call it Sima's butter. You can use Sima's for this. Sima's works fine for this recipe. Now, you see how I am struggling with this big lump of butter that isn't softened. Please do not be like me. Don't be a coconut head like me. Ensure that you use softened butter for this recipe. A side note for you, in order to cut down on cost if you're trying to make this recipe, and if you're wary about the taste of Sima's butter, because sometimes it can leave an after taste in your baked goods, something you can do is to do a mix and match. You can mix Sima's butter with your favorite butter or any kind of butter that you like. Now, whip the butter and sugar until it is light and fluffy, just like this. This takes about 5 to 8 minutes for you to do this. This is actually a very essential step because it helps to give your cake a lighter flavor or a much lighter texture. Now, the next thing I like to do is to add the eggs one at a time. A lot of people keep asking, oh yeah, isn't this time consuming? Why do you like to add your eggs one at a time? Adding eggs one at a time when baking helps to ensure that they are fully incorporated into the batter. This creates a more smoother and more cohesive mixture. If you add all your eggs at once, the mixture can become lumpy or it can curdle, making it hard to blend evenly. So the gradual addition allows the butter and the liquid in the eggs to emulsify properly. This results in a more better texture. It also helps the baked goods to rise properly and give it a more consistent bake. So the next thing I like to do is to set this aside and then start to work on the dry ingredients. Now for the dry ingredients, the ingredients are pretty simple and straightforward. All you need is just flour and salt. Like I said, I have a secret ingredient that takes this pound cake turns it into a light, fluffy, gives it a light and fluffy texture or after bake, rather than the denser texture that you find with baked goods. Now, once you've combined your dry ingredient, the next thing you like to do is to add the dry ingredients into the butter, egg, sugar, batter or mixture. I like to do this. If you know me, you know that I like to do this in 3 or more batches. This allows for an even mixture or an even coat. Now I'm sifting the flour because I'm not using any leavening agent, so I want this cake to be as light and as fluffy as anything possible. So sifting the flour would also help with that. Now notice how I am folding the flour into the wet mixture. I am not hammering it and just stirring it aggressively. Stirring this aggressively will activate gluten in the cake, which will then make the cake dense, and a bit hard, and that's not what we're going for. What we're going for is a lighter, fluffy texture or after bake. So if you notice throughout the process of this video, every technique that I have employed is tilted towards one goal, which is a light and fluffy texture. Why? Because there is no leavening agent in this, which is there is no baking soda and there is no baking powder in this baked good. So as you continue to add your flour in batches, continue to fold it and fold it. As soon as you notice that the flour that you've added has incorporated, then you add the next batch. Just continue to fold it gently. If you are wary about over mixing your dry ingredients with your wet ingredients, I would want for you to apply a method that I call the countdown method. So I typically like to fold and count. So I fold and count 10 to 15, and then I stop. And then I count and mix it again, 10, 15, and then I stop until the flour is well incorporated into the batter. Now that the batter is fully incorporated, allow me to introduce the secret ingredient to this pound cake that makes it so light and fluffy: Sprite, or lemon lime soda. Now, why are we adding lemon lime to this pound cake? We add it for several purposes. We use it to lighten the texture of the cake. The carbonation in Sprite adds air bubbles, which can help make the cake lighter and fluffier, as opposed to the typical dense texture that you find with pound cake. Sprite also adds moisture, or should I say extra moisture, to the cake, making the cake more tender and helping it stay moist for longer. The third thing is flavor enhancement. We know that Sprite is a lemon lime soda, so the subtle citrus notes in Sprite enhances the flavor profile of the lemon lime pound cake, giving it a hint of brightness without it being overpowering. Then it's also for extra sweetness. The Sprite contributes additional sweetness, which complements the sugar which is already in the recipe, and then balances the flavor of the final cake. It's just a clever way to tweak or trick a classic pound cake for a smoother and more flavorful results. Now the next thing that I'm adding is lemon and lime juice. So the reason why I'm adding both the lemon and lime juice to this pound cake is to intensify the citrus flavor. This gives the cake a more vibrant and layered taste. So this is the reason for both juices anyway, and this is just the reason why you need to add both. It's for flavor complexity. For the lemon juice, it provides a bright and tangy flavor, while for the lemon juice it adds a slightly sharper and more aromatic citrus notes. The combination enhances the overall citrus flavor, making the cake more dynamic and flavorful. It is also for balanced acidity. Both the lemon and lime juice have natural acidity, which helps to balance the sweetness of the cake. Really, the acidity also interacts with the leavening agent, which is typically baking soda and baking powder. But for this recipe we're using Sprite. So the acidity contributes to a lighter and fluffier texture. And also for the aromatic freshness, the natural oils from both the citrus fruits enhances the cake's aroma, making this pound cake smell not only fresh but also zesty. Really, now the mix of citrus juices makes the cake not only delicious, but it also adds a depth of flavor to the pound cake. I hope this helps. Anyway, moving along. If you're anything like me, I tend to struggle with which pan to always use to bake. Now for this recipe is really large and I needed a big pan, but of course this little cute bun pan is my absolutely favorite bun pan in the world. I think I need to get a bigger size, so I am always stuck with having to play this game in order to decide which pan to use. So I always use the Nigerian tombom bas kalaba titi alabapu alaba laba koi koi titi boys and girls. That's the trick I always use to decide which pan to use to do my baking. Let me know in the comment section if you're familiar with this song or this nursery rhyme, and if you use that to decide stuffs in your kitchen as well. Now for a story that occurred on this particular day. I knew that my batter was too big for my favorite pan and I needed to use a much bigger pan. But God had a reason for asking me to use my smaller pan. Now, as you can see in this video, I did not accurately secure my big pan before adding the batter. So I had a kitchen disaster on this very day. It wasn't shown in this video, but I had a kitchen disaster. While I set my pan into the oven, the batter was seeping out of it, and my entire oven was really messed up. But what I did was put off the oven, cleaned out the oven, and transferred the remaining batter into my favorite bun pan, and of course carried on baking, which really I should have just paid attention to my intuition, or should I say the Holy Spirit asking me to use the smaller bun pan. Anyway, so I transferred the batter into the pan, and one thing I like to do really is I like to shake my pan and make sure that everything is leveled up before adding it to the oven. Now while the cake was busy baking away, I decided to put together the components that I would use to decorate my cake. The first thing I did was I took out the lemons that I zested and cut them into round slices. So I decided to make some candied orange lemons for the cake. So I proceeded to cut the lemons into slices, and once they were done, next thing I typically do is to remove the seeds. Please remove the seeds because they can turn your candied lemons bitter. Now in doing this, I wanted to use one stone to kill two birds. I wanted to make lemon syrup and as well as a candied lemon. So into a pan I added some sugar. So for this I'm not using any lemon juice, so I'm using equal parts water, equal parts sugar. That is, if you're using 1 cup of sugar, use 1 cup of water. If you're using half cup of sugar, use half cup of water. Now once I added the water and the lemon, I stirred that to at least dissolve some of the sugar. But if you're patient enough, you can wait for your sugar to dissolve completely before adding the lemon slices. But I was just too excited. I went ahead and added my lemon slices. It is the holiday season, and this is the perfect time for you to do a candied lemon slice, or you can even do this with orange or clementines, any of the citruses that you want to do would be perfect, especially for this holiday season. So the next thing I like to do is to cook this on medium heat, of course keeping an eye on it so that it doesn't burn. You're working with sugar, so it can actually crystallize or burn really quickly. Now I cooked this for about 30 to 45 minutes, and this is what you get as a result. You can use this for your tea, you can use this to decorate your cakes, you can eat this, you can also dehydrate this further if you want, but yeah. So the next thing I like to do is to set them on a baking sheet over a baking rack, and just allow them to cool down and come to a certain temperature that I can touch them, and so that's it. Once I am done taking out the lemon slices from the pan, the next thing I also like to do is to pour the lemon syrup into a jar. Again, the lemon syrup can be used for tea. They can also be used to moisten your cake, as the days go by, or you can just drizzle it on ice cream, or for parfaits or anything. They work pretty well, just to sweeten things up. Now the next thing I like to do is to make the icing for my lemon lime pound cake. So my mother's recipe calls for just lemon, but I like to use lemon and lime since that's the base of the recipe anyway. So I typically zest my lemon and zest the lime as well into the icing sugar, and then the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon each. You can use less, really. Very little goes a long way. So once I'm done zesting the lemon and the lime, of course making sure that I get every single zest out, I add sugar to balance the sweetness. I add the lemon and lime juice, and I add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Again, the ingredient list will be listed in the description below. Now, if you have watched this video to this point, please, if you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. This actually helps to motivate and let me know the type of content that you like to see on my page. Now, mix this up until you get this consistency. Now, depending on the type of thickness that you want, I didn't want it so thick, that's why I made it this watery, but you can add extra sugar just to thicken your icing up. Now once the cake is out of the oven, I allow it to cool in the pan for 15 minutes before turning it onto my you can actually let it cool for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or even an hour before turning it into your cake stand. For this particular cake, I waited till the next day to ice it. I don't know, for some reason I just feel like I give it a few hours because I wanted the flavors to mix well. I wanted the cake to come to room temperature completely before slicing into it. So what I did was, put on the icing on it. This looks absolutely divine, I must say. You can, if you look closely, you see the specks of lemon zest, specks of lime zest on this. It smelled absolutely divine, and I just couldn't wait to dig into it. And the next thing that I did was I added a few more zest to the icing. I did a combination of lemon and lime. This is not compulsory, but just for aesthetic, I wanted this to look really pretty because some of my friends had called to see that they were coming over for tea. And then the next thing I did was I decorated with the candied lemon slices that I had made earlier, and that was it. This cake is everything and more, and I promise you, if you give this a try, you will make this an every month or weekly cake that you're going to have in your home. And so that's it. I hope that you really like this. I hope that you enjoy making this. This cake is simply addictive. It is so super moist. It is super moist. Now, when my friends came over, after every slice that I cut out, I still drizzled some icing sugar. Some of you just like sugar. I still drizzled some sugar on it, just for just to give it some vavavoom to it. And so I went ahead and enjoyed this slice of cake with my friends. Look at how crumbly this cake is. It is a pound cake, but it is so fluffy. It is so light. I mean, anyone you tell that there is no baking soda or baking powder in this recipe, they wouldn't believe you. Trust me. Now, like I said, I made minis as well. So if you make minis just like this or cupcakes just like this, this is just a visual representation of how you can ice or decorate it. Now, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope that you give this a try. And if you liked this, please give us a thumbs up or leave a comment in the comment section so that we know that you really enjoyed this. And I hope that you give this a try, really. And until next time, I love you, Manchos.